My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. All right, it is currently 1:38 a.m. on Thursday, December 19, 2024. This is a supplementary audio because I'm going to convert the video documentation that I just captured of the ongoing domestic terrorism, which is what gang stalking is. Gang stalking is, to address it in the vernacular, ordinarily referred to as gang stalking or state organized stalking, whatever terms you've heard it. I have appropriately referred to this criminal system that a government engages in, a government practices. It's actually witchcraft, it's demonic activity. It's demonic behaviors that are practiced, in a very organized manner with regard to the demonic behavior. But this does not require, under any circumstances, high level of intelligence. You're talking about what is nothing other than vessels of Satan and their demonic behaviors. Satan is very organized as he uses people to engage in a demonic behavioral pattern. And that's also shown combined with the pattern of conduct that is recognized, not just the behavior, but also the environment, which is demonic. And that's not just a term that I'm throwing around willy-nilly. The demonic environment is on its face. The light source, which I have referred to as the fake sun for a very specific purpose. Because the natural environment, where there would be the sun, the same natural environment would not have the same sun over the same exact property over me in perfect alignment with my person, where I'm situated at that property. It's very, very specific where this fake sun remains in alignment to my person inside of the same exact apartment building, and it does not move for the duration of the day. As I've captured the sunrise at Woodside Senior Apartments at 7:18 a.m. until the sunrise during daylight savings time, 6:27 p.m., and after daylight savings time, well after 4 p.m. 4:30 p.m. And you're looking at as you pay attention to the documentation, not only is it the specific environment, which is a scientific impossibility, while you have both the fake sun remaining stationary, because Satan is not God. He's a wannabe God. He is not the equal opposite of God either. Do not mistake it for that. You are also seeing that intellectually, because this demonic imitation of the natural environment, God, who is the Almighty, who created everything with merely His word, okay, this specific environment is entirely inferior to the operation of the natural environment, and there's necessarily more than one quote unquote sun. Because of what I've shown on the face, on its face, this is speaking to what is necessarily a fake sun over you wherever you are at. Okay, and in the state of Indiana, we're not looking at the same object in the sky where you're looking at the sun over you. It is mutually exclusive. It cannot be the same sun. While I have hard evidence, not just talk that I cannot back up, but the world can look at it. You can look at it yourself, because the fake sun remains stationary over me at apartment 51 now that I'm at Woodside Senior Apartments, because that's exactly what I documented, which is also mutually exclusive and a scientific phenomenon in and of itself, even as you isolate just that venue and don't compare it to any other place. The sun is never stationary. What do we know about the sun? It's engaged in ongoing movement. That's the direct opposite. And it is not both stationary and also engaged in movement. And it's not both stationary and then also having that same one sun, as we've been told, as we understand. So we've been conditioned to think, all right, that's over you in Indiana and in Missouri and in Nevada and New York and Florida and Vermont, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the environment, which is a part of recognizing the pattern of conduct for purposes of prosecuting public corruption, where criminal surveillance is underway. And so this is what I'm documenting. Not only am I capturing, the evidence is already on the record. You can go to the website. This is the P.O.C.wordpress.com. You can go to my YouTube channel. This is the P.O.C. My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I do have the direct evidence speaking to what is demonic activity, who is gang stalking, who's group stalking, the demon-possessed are. And unfortunately, this is not a scary flick. Okay, this is not Tales from the Crypt. It's not just a scary movie. It's not a fable. It's very real. Demonic activity is real. Satan is real. Satan is a spirit, and Satan uses people. And that's how you have what is an identical behavioral pattern, by the way. Not just the fact that you have an apartment complex of people that are engaged in the same behavioral pattern who are living under a fake sun, and nobody seems to notice that. And they're not coincidentally engaging in facilitating behaviors that are accomplishing the demonic system of monitoring. That's not a coincidence. These are the demon-possessed who are engaging in a system that you are not supposed to be aware of. You're not supposed to notice it. And the demon-possessed are very threatened by your knowledge of it. They are also, understand the public safety concern is that Satan, who is a spirit, is very fearful of your knowledge about him and his devices, what he uses, how he operates. What you'll have is the public safety concern, because Satan, the spirit of a psychopath, is originating from Satan, in case you did not know that. And so this psychopath is what is inspiring, first of all, the demented and degenerate behavior, the criminal activity of the entity that is gang stalking. And it is also the public safety concern, not only because of that itself, but also because in the face of what is evidence, okay, that your secret system, this so-called secret society, it's not a secret anymore, and a sane person, a normal person that is facing exposure, that is witnessing their exposure, meaning the camera is aimed on you and you are being documented and everyone knows exactly what they're looking at, and it's going to be also on the internet. I'm not just keeping it for a trophy, and I'm not, so with all this information, and it doesn't, under no circumstances is under any circumstances logically or actually helping the, because I can concede and argue on the opposite side. Oh, well then, if they're openly engaging in what is flying over the apartment complex in helicopter and video over and over again, well then that means, and it doesn't, but that means, oh, they're not stalking, they're not gang stalking, they're not even aware of you. They're just engaging in what they ordinarily do as a police department, and that does not logically follow. The Ontario police are engaged in a pattern of conduct which is shown through the specific environment, first of all, and secondly through the pattern of conduct of what demons do, stalking with activity. And remember, the Ontario Police Department are only one actor, one state actor. I have documented the state. Many counties are exhibiting the same exact pattern of conduct. That is beyond a coincidence. They are sharing this pattern of conduct while they use things such as police vehicles and helicopters. Okay, the people of the state are exhibiting the same pattern of conduct while they have what they have at their disposal, their cars, their apartments, their houses, whatever they have at their disposal, their business establishments, okay, their kids, they use their pets, they use whatever in order to engage in what? Elements. You don't marry yourself to the image, you pay attention to the elements, the noise, the audible activity, the light activity, the visual activity, and the fact that they're in the presence. Demons who are monitoring, who are gang stalking, are always maintaining presence. They're always there. Okay, so the entity is doing so as an entity, as a group. Okay, and so while I am capturing this video, which you're going to hear next, I wanted to introduce this. This is captured at 12. This video, let me go ahead and recite the time. I captured this video at 12:42 a.m. and at 12:42 a.m., moments earlier, I am documenting the ongoing psychological torture. Understand what demons practice with regard to monitoring an American citizen. It is the very specific breakdown for what is psychological torture. Stalking with simultaneity, creating audible activity, light activity, or being in the path, which is what demons are doing, demons who are monitoring you. The demon possessed have that uncanny ability to know what you're doing because they have a demon, they have a dark spirit on them, and that spirit is able to give them the uncanny ability to do that. It is the outward demonstration of demon possession and demonstrating mental instability. This same mental instability is what inspires great violence. They don't need a reason to take a gun and go shoot up the mall. They don't need a reason to drive their vehicle off of the freeway bridge. They don't need a reason to kidnap children, traffic them, sexually violate them. They don't need reasons to do that. In the same way, the entity is gang stalking an American citizen for no legitimate purpose, no lawful purpose whatsoever. This is based on what is it's wicked, it's evil, but it's also criminal and unconstitutional and inhumane. And that's the angle that I'm focused on while you're prosecuting Satan. Okay. So the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct. And as I'm documenting the demon in apartment number 55, understand that this is not an individual. This is the entity. And this is removal from any constitutional rights. You have no shelter from prosecution. And also your mental illness is being duly noted as you are demonstrating the instability that you are necessarily suffering from while you're inflicting harm on another. That is, to put in very loose terms, somebody that's going to be put in an asylum upon prosecution for domestic terrorism. This is the same exact criminal conduct that the demons of the Ontario Police provide a wealth of evidence supporting while they're stalking an American citizen in helicopters. And that's exactly what the evidence proves while they're flying over the property with simultaneity to what I do physically, simultaneity to what I say, simultaneity to what it is that I'm documenting on my devices, while I'm present in what is the supernatural environment, revealing the engineered light, revealing the fake sun that's stationary over the property that is relevant to everything that's happening, including the methods of crossing path in the sky space, and also while the fake moon is over this apartment in the same way that the fake sun is remaining over this apartment all day long. Okay, that is speaking to what defies what, and again, somebody that is disingenuous trying to, oh, well, and this is what, again, unintelligent, woefully inept and unprepared. Okay, demons such as Mike Lorenz. This is a sex offender. This is, I'm not going to mince words. This is somebody that has no way. And the demon possessed and Satan himself were never prepared for this system of sacrificing American citizens to be exposed and moreover to be prosecuted. So you're dealing with somebody that's just masturbating while they're monitoring me all day long, maintaining an ongoing stream of gang stalking and planes and helicopters all day long. And these, again, not exercising very much intellectual capacity whatsoever, providing a wealth of evidence so that the world could witness what does domestic terrorism look like, what does it operate like in the United States. And you literally are seeing it in this video as I walk out at 12:42. This is moments after I'm capturing and I'm documenting this demon in apartment number 55. All right. The ongoing psychotic conduct. This is an elderly person who would like to, in federal court, appear somebody that you would sympathize with. Oh, I could never be a gang stalker. I was baptized in 1972. Okay. I could never, I don't know nothing about no Satan. Here's my Bible right here, Your Honor. And I love my grandchildren and whatever else that these demons are going to say that is entirely legally irrelevant. The direct evidence of the gang stalking by the state is the foundational evidence supporting any and everything that the people of the state are doing in a specific environment where you are living under the fake sun. This is a supernatural environment, and everything about their behavior is also supernatural. Those demons are gang stalking, and while they do so on behalf of the police who were engaged in surveillance, meaning they were already present. As I walk outside of the apartment, Union Pacific Railroad, the train, a means of amplified audible activity. It's impossible to hear the train. For example, while I'm sleeping outside at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, there's a wealth of evidence documenting the entity engaging in that pattern of conduct. You cannot hear the train inside of the apartments. It is not within the zoning regulations, and it's literally a violation of your leasing rights. You're not going to sign a lease for an apartment and they're telling you, oh, well, you know, I mean, there are structures, by the way, people that live in different types of, neighborhoods, different types of states, where perhaps you live right by a train track, but that's not what this is. I've literally been in my vehicle capturing video and or podcasts, and I'm looking at the train, I'm documenting it because it's a method of light activity, and there's absolutely no train whatsoever. Okay. This is, again, just a logical basis of breaking down. I have already fully established the pattern of conduct. It is in every way supernatural. This is the spiritual realm that is appearing right in front of your face. This is your introduction to that which you have been looking at. You just have not been paying attention to it. You are witnessing the prosecution, the criminalization of demonic activity that the government is engaging in and relying on. Why? Because when you're engaging in demonic methods of targeting someone, you are not supposed to be armed with an artillery of evidence such that you can prove that they are targeting you in ways that defy nature, because you're supposed to be defamed, and it's criminal defamation, not civil defamation. You are not merely suffering pecuniary harm. It may include, it likely does include pecuniary harm. The entity has engaged in that, directly affecting my ability to maintain employment while I'm a practicing attorney. And the entity is engaging in these collateral schemes. In other words, these ongoing criminal acts of defamation, for example. But this is criminal defamation that's facilitating the objective of gang stalking. The entity that is demon possessed, that is engaged in the demonic system of targeting, they do so with the intent to maliciously murder and kidnap and or kidnap. Okay, it is kidnapping that is necessarily through the demons who you'll see on video, stalking in helicopter. It is identified as stalking based on the sensational activity that's created, and the demons are at 1:51 a.m. providing evidence against the city of Ontario, that is the state of California. This is a government that is begging for disbanding. Again, this is historic, not only because federal group stalking, monitoring, gang stalking has never been proven or prosecuted, but because you are witnessing what is unadulterated demonic behavior and lawlessness by those that are supposed to be protecting and serving. It doesn't get, but this is, again, this is providence that you're witnessing, and I'm documenting firsthand and telling the secrets of the predators, the psychopaths, the highly unstable gang stalkers who start with, by the way, the corrupt police departments, who are the ones that are exploiting lawful authority while they're violating your constitutional rights in concert with the people of the state, who are supposed to appear, that's malice, to be in a substantially similar position as the targeted individual, meaning exploiting, which you don't. You don't have a right to live in the specific environment gang stalking like the demon in apartment 55 is. You have a constitutional right to live in your private residence. This is not a private residence. Upon establishing the specific environment where a fake sun is remaining for 10 plus hours, that's not a natural environment. And amplification, impossible light activity, and gang stalking by the state is the direct evidence, the foundational evidence that's putting that gang stalker, that malicious actor, that domestic terrorist in federal prison. This one in particular is going to a mental asylum, not only because of the mental instability exhibited and shared with the demons who are stalking in helicopter in concert with her, and have failed abysmally. Okay, an abysmal failure at protecting. That's what the gang stalking by the police is supposed to accomplish. It doesn't. So while I step out at 12:42 in the morning, this is a senior citizen complex. You're never ceasing to apply common sense and logic, understanding ordinary zoning laws, the propriety of the police hovering over senior citizen complexes. There, I've captured it 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, flying in circles. The senior citizens who are everyone at an apartment complex is entitled to quiet enjoyment. All of this is out of the window where the entity is gang stalking. And the demons that rely on a chaotic and noisy environment, they're not complaining about it. Okay, but it's harassment on its face, and it's also traditional stalking in addition to gang stalking. Okay, nonetheless, the entity is gang stalking at 12:42 a.m. Union Pacific Railroad is the means of amplified audible activity, while you will see my shadow surrounding my person. It's upright. This is the same exact light activity, which is impossible to naturally be the case, because standing under the sun does not create your upright shadow while you're facing it. Like you're standing in front of a person, you're standing in front of your shadow. That's not the product of standing under the sun. Neither is sunlight from the sun that's outside of a building. The sun's not inside of the building. The sun is outside of all of the structures that we exist in above us, and there is no sunlight that is going to be placed on the ceiling over your head, like I document inside of this apartment. And it remains in the dark. It remains for the duration of the day, no matter what side of the building that the fake sun remains on, as it remains at Woodside Senior Apartments for the duration of the day. At nightfall at 12:42 a.m. today, you will see the fake moon positioned directly over me. This is understanding the pattern of conduct. This is where you will see what is stalking in a helicopter. And mentally unstable psychopaths who intend to commit malicious murder and kidnapping engage in gang stalking in helicopter. It's a specific appetite for psychological torture. It's the basis of federal prison. Police officers who are gang stalking, you're not escaping federal prison. Gang stalking in helicopters is the evidence supporting mental asylums. Mike Lorenz and every other documented gang stalker, the police department is going to be disbanded, but the entity is literally going to produce the evidence of all of those engaging in what is the guise of police work. They're going to hand over and produce the identity of those who are operating the city helicopters, because they're going to be put away. They're going to be placed in confinement after they are prosecuted. And Mike Lorenz is nothing less than he's a violent sex offender, but he is most importantly, with regard to terrorism, a terrorist leader. And this is not a law enforcement agency. This is a terrorist organization, and you will be treated accordingly. The entire police department, everyone that's working there, I'm just letting you know how you're going to prosecute domestic terrorism. It is a no nonsense, absolutely under no circumstances tolerated, and there's no negotiating with terrorists. Everybody already knows that. This is what the Ontario Police Department are. This is what they are literally showing with unadulterated, open criminal conduct. Mental psychosis, mental instability is exhibited. Okay, I don't have to be a professional in order for you to know. Everyone can agree on its face. You are mentally unstable when you are stalking someone and you seek to do so maliciously. While you want to appear, because it's supposed to appear, oh, I'm just doing my duty, flying over the apartment. Understand the malice of the entire entity. You're not supposed to be aware of the specific environment. You're not supposed to ever question when they're stating that someone was arrested because they committed a crime. You're never questioning when they're diagnosing someone for mental illness. You're not questioning what they're sentenced to when they're placed into a mental ward or in prison. You're not questioning any of that. The entity is exploiting the rights that they have under the Constitution. They don't, but all of this is removed by federal group stalking and monitoring. So you're understanding what is meant to, that high level of malice is diabolical, okay? It's showing the requisite malice for murder, because you're gang stalking. Any loss of life while the pattern of conduct is underway, that is akin to first-degree murder. That's exactly what it is. And I just want to be clear, you have a police department that's practicing criminal conduct. They were sitting in relevant position in the helicopter. They were already present as I walk out of the apartment. I didn't walk out because I heard amplified helicopter. I walked out to document this demon in apartment 55, capture the fake moon that's in this position where the fake sun remains all day long. That's showing the center of the universe that I am, while the city of Ontario is openly engaging in criminal conduct, which they will regret. Demons such as Paul Leon, Alan D. Wapner, the demons that are gang stalking in airplanes using commercial planes from the corrupt Ontario International Airport. The entity is engaging in openly gang stalking, and I've been documenting this impunity. I've been documenting this very foolish behavior. To be sorely regretted. Listen, sorely regretted, but the mentally unstable, the short-sighted psychopaths who are demon-possessed, all right, fail to appreciate the consequences. Okay, you're dealing with Satan. You're talking about obsession, and you're talking about an inability to exercise foresight and an inability to actually, like a sane person, engage in any sort of conduct that would actually help their own interest. And understand, when you're being prosecuted with the evidence, all of the entities, they have conflicting interests. There are the immigrant gang stalkers. There are the gang stalkers that have children. There are the gang stalkers that are in positions of government. There are the gang stalkers that own businesses. There are the gang stalkers that need, for example, housing benefits. This unemployed, demon-possessed, sex-offending gang stalker in apartment number 55, she doesn't even have a job. Her job is gang stalking me all day long. No gang stalker, no terrorist, no domestic terrorist shall be qualified, ever. You will not receive any housing benefits. This is exactly what speaker companies engaged in. Not only is the company, you're not qualified, because they have to qualify under federal state programs in order to be a provider of low-income housing benefits. It's not only is that corrupt company, that property, based on being engaged in the pattern of conduct, but the people of the state themselves are disqualified. And so the entity, and all the ways, and many others that they have not thought about, because all they're obsessed with right now is just gang stalking me. And then the demons, you're talking about what is a delusional state of some sort of ego where you have already been defeated, but nonetheless you're dealing with Satan. Satan is not sane. Okay, this is being exhibited through the behavior of demon-possessed gang stalkers, not sane. And you know that because they're stalking in planes and helicopters, for example. They're running around in circles like a dog chasing their tail. And they're doing so while they are being exposed for it, and they have conflicting interests which are competing when they're prosecuted. So while they act with impunity, that's impunity shared by the whole entity. Just like when you hold hands with your criminal co-conspirator and you decide to go rob a bank. That's an inherently violent crime. And when you engage in inherently violent crimes such as federal group stalking and monitoring, where the objective is to murder and kidnap, it is reasonably foreseeable that there may be a loss of life. And upon any loss of life, first of all, upon federal group stalking and monitoring, with regard to the prosecution of robbery, for example, an inherently violent crime, I'm not going to go deep into law, but that's felony murder. And it's analogous to premeditated murder. Just to put succinctly, it's more detailed than that, but it's accomplishing the requisite malice, and you will be prosecuted for murder. And it can vary with regard to different states and whatnot, but with regard to analyzing federal group stalking and monitoring and the entity that is maliciously murdering American citizens, that is a requisite malice of forethought. And you're talking about an entity being prosecuted for murder, a police department being prosecuted for murder while gang stalking an American citizen. There are no accidents in the specific environment where you're targeting. It doesn't exist. That's called malice. All right. While the entity wants to appear as this is just a normal, and it doesn't appear, and it's highly unpersuasive. And you're witnessing what the entity wants to conceal, which is mental illness. You're seeing how very unstable they actually are. You have the demon possessed that are flying commercial planes from the Ontario International Airport, and so I just want to document This is just to go through that pattern of conduct. I'm going to include that video, which I captured at 12:42 in the morning, walking outside, and the Ontario police, they were already engaged in surveillance. That's why this demon is running around like a dog, stalking me with audible activity, which is psychological torture that's engaged in by the entity. The people of the state don't act as individuals. They don't even just act as the people. They act in the shoes of the state. The state is always engaged in criminal monitoring. The demon-possessed are acting as a malicious entity, and doing so directly using helicopters, planes, train, fire, and ambulance, and acting vicariously through the people of the state and whatever means they have at their disposal, including gang stalking where they live. A very easy, very simple means of documenting you literally by your address, and you're going to federal prison. Okay, this very highly mentally unstable demon in apartment 55 is going to a mental institution. She's going to an asylum. All right, and that's for the protection of the public. This is a threat not only to herself, she is a threat to children, she's a threat to those that cannot protect themselves, can't speak for themselves. And the reality is that this is what the demon-possessed pose as a population. And they're running around free right now, practicing this criminal system as an entire city. As I've documented, as you'll see in my evidence, this is city to city, county to county. And as I've gone to Nevada, documenting the P.O.C, and the fake sun remained over me from California into Nevada, rising over me while I'm in Nevada, but what was remaining stationary over Woodside Senior Apartments during that time. All right. And that's what you're understanding with regard to recognizing the pattern of conduct. This is where there is no logical or reasonable argument regarding identifying the malice with which gang stalking by police departments is underway. And they literally handed me yet another video. I have hundreds of videos of domestic terrorism by demons such as Mike Lorenz, who shall be permanently removed from law enforcement. Excuse me. Not capable under the law of bearing weapons because of the threat that they pose as American citizens engaging in domestic terrorism with a high level of malice, a disregard for the dignity, the humanity, the rights of an American citizen. And that is openly displayed in that specific environment where they were gang stalking with this demon running around like a dog inside of her apartment. And the moment that I walk outside to document video in the specific environment, the demons were already in position, gang stalking, present, engaging in surveillance by helicopter. And so were the Ontario International Airport. Yes, demons doing acrobats in planes, hovering like they're creeping behind bushes, creeping in planes, hovering over a senior citizen complex at 12 o'clock in the morning. They're still doing so now at 2 o'clock in the morning. And the demons exhibiting that mental illness, it's the same exact pattern of conduct. If I document, the demons are gang stalking by the use of the dog barking. Okay, that's the method of stalking by audible activity, because it's not a matter of what type of, what's the form. You can stalk with audible activity by turning music on and off, by slamming your front door, by stomping in your living room like the demon in 55, by sounding plane activity, by sounding train activity, by sounding helicopter activity, by standing outside and just yelling at the top of your lungs, by revving your engine. You can, any sort of noise, it's audible activity. You can stalk, meaning follow, meaning with simultaneity to what that person does, and a demon knows that. A demon knows the moment I move my big toe and will immediately create audible activity. The reason why you're not hearing anything now is because my voice is providing the ongoing audible activity. While I am using my devices, while I physically move around, walk from the living room to the kitchen, walk to the bathroom, back into the living room, the demons are physically stalking by the 1 in 55. They surround on all sides of this apartment building, which is why the demons in 33 through 64 are going to federal prison. They maintain corporate presence on an ongoing basis through the ceilings and through the walls. It is no obstruction for relevant positioning and ongoing audible activity and light activity, which surrounds inside of this apartment, as I document. And the fake moon is over this apartment. This is where the fake sun is during the day. This is where the demons are clearly stalking, as you are understanding the malicious system, which is demonic, for federal group stalking and monitoring, using so in the incredible manner of helicopter. And this is why there is no reasonable basis to contend that they are, they're ignorant and they don't know about you, and they are, they're just doing what they're supposed to do. No, they're not. This is the malicious system of federal group stalking and monitoring. And that's a disingenuous and illogical contention. It's not even, it's absolute. You can argue it. Like I said, everybody gets their day in court, but it's not going to stand. Okay. It doesn't stand against the evidence. And what is the weight of that evidence establishing that pattern of conduct, which is very specific. It's unique because it's demonic. All right. And so the entity was already engaged in stalking by being over the apartment building. And as I walk outside at 12:42, immediately sounding that as I begin moving on the property. In the Ontario International Airport, these are demons who are flying commercial planes. It is not far-fetched with regard to what you've already seen commercial planes doing, such as flying into skyscrapers in New York on 9/11. Okay, that is the condition of those capable of the same conduct. This is, in other words, why am I putting that picture in your mind? Because those that are seeking to murder and kidnap an American citizen whom they're gang stalking in the incredible manner, such as using commercial planes, while they're engaging in relevant positioning, audible activity creation. This is demonic activity. To do so using flying in planes and helicopters, to use an airport, to use a police department, to focus on one person who you are so obsessively consumed with everything that they say as they say it. They even go to the resort, failing, albeit in their mind, entertaining the notion that they're getting some sort of retaliation while they engage in that which I just finished discussing. If I describe, the Ontario Police Department, those demons have no business in law enforcement, and they're clowns, just gang stalking all day. They have nothing to do. They must be wearing diapers. They never take a break. They will moments later fly over in helicopter. Those are the criminal acts of retaliation, and that is reasonably deduced by the facts and circumstances, the absence of any coincidence, and absolutely no coincidences in the specific environment. And that is also a practice within the pattern of conduct. The demons have a pattern within the pattern of conduct, while they are what? Necessarily listening, keeping me under surveillance, listening to everything that I'm saying, being sex offenders, monitoring my genitalia, being sex offenders, having sex rituals and pulling on their body parts, watching obsessively, including on cameras that have been placed in my home, absent my knowledge and consent, stalking in planes and helicopters. That type of mind state, that mental instability, that type of perversion, that sort of murderous appetite, that mental instability has no business having a pilot license or flying planes. Okay, this is speaking to, again, the Ontario International Airport, years of evidence of criminal surveillance. You will see them in hundreds, if not thousands, of videos, specifically the city of Ontario. You're talking about shutting down the airport, the weight of the evidence, and the entity has engaged in multiple kidnappings while trying to obstruct justice. So this is shutting down the airport, which is not necessary. It's committed to criminal conduct. They are proving that the airport is not needed, and literally domestic terrorism, sexual violence, criminal activity, they're being paid to maintain that in Ontario, and not the legitimate business of an airport. In addition to that, the corruption of the demons that are calling themselves, Satan would like to esteem himself as a police officer, as a police department, and they're nothing close to that. Literally, and you'll see me referencing it in the video, it's shameful, criminal, demented conduct that a police department is practicing. And this is the depths to which Satan can drag human beings. These demons are pulling on their body, their genitalia, gang stalking, sitting above the apartment building while my legs are spread open, genitalia exposed in the bathroom, and they're monitoring, stalking. Obsessed with demons that chase their tails in their apartment, running around in circles. I'm describing to you the demon possessed that are very highly mentally unstable. This is that which they do not want you to know. Their mental instability is not only a threat. They're gang stalking. They're criminal. They're being inclined to criminal conduct that's threatening and targeting another is the public safety concern, and that which is subject to a prosecution. So this intro is longer than I wanted it to be, but I want to go ahead and name those who are engaging in this criminal conduct by virtue of their position. This is a corrupt airport that is gang stalking. Alan D. WAPNER, this is the same demon that is sitting on the Ontario City Council. This is a demon that's fully aware of the criminal conduct while clear targeting by virtue of the location of Woodside versus Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 at the Ontario International Airport. All of the airlines at the Ontario International Airport are gang stalkers. They're also engaged in Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2, federal stalking. They're monitoring, keep engaging in surveillance via communication devices. They are doing so not only as a company, so that's prosecution for civilly prosecuting that company and criminally prosecuting that company. I do advocate a criminal basis for prosecuting corrupt companies that are maliciously facilitating the government's pattern of conduct. while they profit off of it. That's also a crime, and it's also a basis to drain the pockets of such corrupt companies. They're doing so while they're hovering over the senior citizen complex, and doing so again at 2:11 in the morning. The entity lists the arrivals and departures of each of the airlines, the gates that they're departing from, their destinations where they're headed to. None of them are during the first of all, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Second of all, no Terminal 2 or Terminal 4 takeoff results in hovering over Woodside Senior Apartments at 408 West G Street in Ontario, California, flying in the direction west, as though they are again lowering in elevation necessarily and then rising up in elevation as though they're taking off again. I've been on many planes. When you take off from the airport, you continue to rise in elevation, and it's immediate upon being lifted off of the ground. The entity is again caught in an unintelligent pattern of conduct because the demons never anticipated for it to be scrutinized, to be questioned, to be prosecuted, to be exposed. And the fact that the entity you're also understanding what's a part of the punishment, what's relevant to the damages assigned, what is relevant to being placed in mental asylums, being shut down as an airport, being subject to federal prison, etc. The fact that the entity is monitoring, keeping under surveillance the evidence, and defying what is the federal government. That's what they are. As I capture video of gang stalking in planes and gang stalking in helicopters, the people of the state are fully engaged in that impunity. Remember, they're gang stalking in the path. And you see the people of the state in this video that you'll hear. You'll see it if you go to the website or you go to my YouTube channel. Crossing path with a smile on her face, with 4 legs and shadows on the ground. This demon is monitoring, and this is the people of the state that comes out of an apartment to cross path in the engineered light under the fake moon in concert with the state by helicopter and the state by plane. That's amplifying audible activity in engineered light. That's P.O.C. That's P.O.C. And that's the entity that's sharing in that. In the same way that they share in their sexual violence, they like to get together. And the targeted individual is the one that they're also seeking to prey upon sexually. Not only monitoring you in the private space, engaging in sex rituals as a group together, they're sharing in the criminal elements of monitoring together while they're targeting you, gang stalking you in the specific environment. This is the way that they are engaging in what is that demonic system on an ongoing basis. And that's going to be in other words, the federal government is cognizant and mindful of that upon the civil and criminal prosecution of that entity. The damages that are going to drain your pockets, mindful of the fact that you, and you're talking about years, series of years. Alan D. WAPNER is the demon-possessed gang stalker. This is a sex offender. This is a lawless criminal actor who is enabling and profiting and facilitating, in other words, this criminal conduct while mentally unstable. Demon-possessed gang stalkers are flying planes to engage in criminal surveillance. Very highly unstable. It's already bringing your mental state into question when you're stalking. The demon-possessed are engaging in stalking in the most terrorizing manners that Satan could fathom. Let's use planes because nobody's going to be able to prove that you're stalking somebody in a plane. That's the malice of the entity. That's their mindset. That's what they think. Let's stalk in helicopters because, first of all, nobody's going to be able to prove that you're stalking that one person when you're flying in a helicopter over all of the property, for example, or over all of the city. That's what these demons, again, thought beforehand. That's showing malice. Second of all, it's also showing mental instability. With regard to that level of malice, that's showing mental instability as well. But it's also showing mental instability, the fact that you would conjure up in your mind to stalk somebody, because that's exactly what the demons do. They're stalking in planes, they're stalking in helicopters, which the targeted individual suffers in silence. And it is not merely existing within their imagination, as I have shown you, and as I continue to speak on behalf of those who have already lost their life and who are sitting around kidnapped somewhere and who are remaining targeted now in some corner where I don't know where they're at, in some state somewhere, and they're being targeted right now. And I'm speaking to the experience, I'm speaking to the criminal system, I'm speaking to the malice and the demented mind state of the demon-possessed who are targeting American citizens who are not able to speak for themselves. That is speaking to pilots that are going to be prosecuted. They're going to federal prison and mental asylums. Okay? Just like the pilots of the Ontario police, they're going to federal prison and mental asylums. Exhibiting your mental instability, you're super enthusiastic to monitor somebody's genitalia. You like to stalk in bathrooms. You like to chase people around like a rabid dog while you're living at a crime scene, like the demon of 55. You're going into a mental asylum. It's very, very simple. Based on what you exhibit, and you are already shown as a mentally unstable demon. And that's not just throwing around words. You're a demon. You're in the demonic environment. You're exhibiting the demonic behavioral pattern, which is psychological torture, to put it in plain terms. You are a demon. And they know, in other words, those who are listening and learning, demons are practicing what is referred to under the law, when you're not, because in legislation, we don't have to talk about ghouls and demons and Satan in federal law. In court, in the tribunal, it's referred to as malice, and it's referred to as psychological torture, because that's what the demons are doing. That's what they're doing, and that's their purpose. And since you like to do that, you exhibiting your mental instability, you will find yourself in an asylum. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Okay? The entities engaging in this is Alan D. WAPNER. This is the president that's fully engaged in and profiting and employing those to engage in criminal conduct, not the legitimate lawful operation of an airport. This is shared with Kurt Hagman. This is the vice president. He's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, federal stalking under Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2, engaged in criminal conduct with the corrupt venue. All right. Doing so also Ronald O. Loveridge. This is an aged, demon-possessed gang stalker, a corrupt government actor, gang stalking with the city of Ontario. Their team engaged in teamwork in the sky space. In this video that you will hear on the podcast, you can see it on the website and on my YouTube channel, like I stated. But the plane and helicopter cooperative conduct is speaking to what the city of Ontario is engaging in. And the demons that are both on the city council and on the leadership board of the Ontario International Airport are fully engaged in the pattern of conduct, and they know all about the demons that are flying and gang stalking in these commercial planes from the airport. Also, Jim W. Bowman. This is a secretary. He is also a demon sitting on the Ontario City Council. There are no coincidences here while I'm exposing public corruption, those that are going to be removed from the government positions that they're currently holding. But you need to know that these are not just criminals. They're not ordinary criminals because of the crime, the nature of the crime, and the level of malice. But they are not ordinary criminals because these are demons, and they're being exposed. This is also, again, Julia Gouw, Gouw. She's the commissioner, and the heavily documented criminal conduct of the Ontario International Airport that's targeting by hovering over the multifamily senior citizen complex at a high level of frequency, more so based on what it is that I document at the moment that I document it, exhibiting impunity and mental instability. You need to understand that these government actors, these names that I just documented in this podcast, you need to understand that you already know by virtue of the criminal system that's citywide. This is their condition. These are demons, and they are mentally unstable. They share the condition. They're sharing engagement in this corrupt system, and they are actually engaging in the pattern of conduct, which is necessarily born of demons. They happen to hold positions where they're making a lot of money, engaging in state surveillance. On the surface, calling itself an airport, engaging in the business of airports, while simultaneously engaged in criminal surveillance. And that's how you have airports taking off from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 and maintaining aerial surveillance via commercial planes hovering over Woodside senior apartments, with simultaneity to what I do, amplifying plane activity as I walk around inside of the apartment, doing so at a greater frequency while I'm documenting on my phone and on my laptop, and while they are hostile about whatever it is that I'm publishing on the internet, because you have the demon possessed that are obsessively monitoring me. That's psychological torture that these state actors are engaging in. It's very easy to document you. You are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. You are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring in concert with the corrupt airlines. And this is the government that is fully engaging in it, and it is being enabled by the corrupt airport. I want to make sure that I also document the demons who are a part of the corrupt body. As I saw, 2 of them are on the Ontario City Council. And again, like I stated, that is Jim Bowman and Alan D. WAPNER. These 2 demons are on the leadership board for the corrupt airport that's gang stalking me at Woodside Senior Apartments, where the fake moon is over my head in the same position where that fake sun is remaining stationary for the day. The city of Ontario is gang stalking me while the fake sun and the fake moon remains over me, showing you the fact that they are targeting while that demonic environment surrounds me. And these 2 demons on the corrupt city council in Ontario are a part of it. They're not ignorant about it. And they're anticipating removal from office, necessarily. The rest of these demons that are gang stalking and government positions are totally in conflict, and they will not coexist. All right. You've got DEBRA PORADA, the mayor pro prelim, she's a gang stalking minion. She's entirely corrupt. She's engaging in the pattern of conduct while the government is gang stalking by helicopter. This demon, DEBRA PORADA, is fully engaged in the pattern of conduct in the city of Ontario. And domestic terrorism happening on her watch is what is the basis for her permanent removal from public office. Okay, this is the same with Paul S. Leon, and this is again one that wants to be acknowledged as a mayor. You're totally illegitimate. You are fully engaged in the criminal conduct of the city, where they're targeting American citizens in planes and helicopters. And the son is isolated to me at a specific property where I'm situated on that property, where the son goes to no other street or avenue or corner in that entire city. That entire city is engaged in the pattern of conduct. All right. So is Daisy Macias, and this is again a council member recently replacing a current. This was another male that was on the city council, whose name I have documented. Nobody's escaping. You can resign. You can, like I said, like Derek Williams, this demon resigned from the Ontario police. He hasn't escaped anything. He's been documented, engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring with the terrorist organization, the Ontario Police Department, which is the same corrupt municipality, the city of Ontario, as I documented in 2019. 2020. While this demon retired, this demon is not going to miss his due credit for his participation, his facilitation, just like Mike Lorenz. All right, Derek Williams retiring before he could be exposed for also masturbating and engaging in what is the pattern of conduct. He's still a gang stalker, while he's just not the chief of police, a terrorist leader, gang stalking. But he's still a shameful government actor. And that pattern of conduct, as it's continuing under the corrupt leadership of Mike Lorenz, is also establishing what is no mistake, what is nothing other than clear, patent stalking using helicopters in the specific environment that has continued from one terrorist leader to the next. And doing so with regard to the previous terrorist leader, Derek Williams, who is not going to be forgotten with regard to the honor that that demon deserves. Gang stalking me for years, targeting and stalking me in bathrooms, monitoring my genitalia, and also finding pleasure in it, thinking it's funny. I have an up-close image of this demon, okay, who is engaged in this pattern of conduct, and retirement is no removal from being exposed and or prosecuted. You're a terrorist leader. You're going to be treated like the terrorist, like the monster that you are. Not capable of masturbating and watching a targeted individual on the dark web and having your sex rituals and picking who's going to have what job in order to maintain this demonic system amongst the secret society, engaging in what is malicious methods of targeting American citizens, and no one knows about it. All right. That's not happening anymore in secrecy. And that's why you're being openly exposed. And you're also, this is not just to shame you, this is to prosecute you. This is to remove you from office and to make sure you don't go anywhere else and repeat it. It's currently 2:23 a.m. I'm going to include this video following this introduction. It's a little lengthy, but I wanted to cover a lot of ground there. This is what the demon in apartment 55, as I am including in the PDF document that I upload every day regarding the ongoing documentation in order to try. It's an effort, but you cannot understand unless you are in the position of the targeted individual what it is with regard to an entity that's practicing psychological torture. The entity is doing so with an intent to inspire suicidal ideation, suicidal attempts, also a criminal defamation. They want to depict you as the entity targets you, psychologically torturing you, that you are, again, you're seeking to harm your psyche, that you would start to question your sanity or question your mental health state, be in a position where they can falsely depict you because you are not actually mentally ill. You're traumatized, where the demons are targeting you. But the demons that are maliciously targeting you are criminally defaming and falsely depicting that traumatized American citizen as one that's mentally ill, and that and falsely depicting your character, in other words. And that's the work of Satan. It's witchcraft. Okay? It's called word curses. And that's what Satan wants to do. Maim and mar, harm your reputation, your identity, with regard to who Satan knows that you are. And that's why Satan is lying on your character. This is witchcraft while they're engaging in psychological torture. Demons stalking you with noise. All right, they're monitoring. That's demonic conduct, and it's in the physical with regard to prosecution. It's how psychological torture is administered. Okay, again, it is currently 2:25 a.m. on Thursday, December 19, 2024. Many times I have given the demon in apartment 55 a solo appearance in my documentation. Understand it's not a solo appearance. This is the state of California gang stalking inside of apartment 55. And this impunity, this foolishness, this animalistic behavior while targeting another with a great sense of enthusiasm, while you're seeking to murder and kidnap, with the corrupt police who want to murder and kidnap while wearing a badge and bearing weapons and using helicopters. This is exactly what the federal government is going to rely on when you stand before that judge, when you stand in that forum and you're sentenced. And then you're subject to deportation after that. And you lose custody of your children because of that, etc., etc. All right, it's currently 2:26 a.m. The following video that you will hear was captured again this morning at 12:42 in the morning, and it ended at 12:54 a.m. This is P.O.C. The Union Pacific Railroad train, which is impossible audible activity, is the means of audible activity inside of the apartment where I just took images of, first of all, there's the fake moon. This is the fake moon where the fake sun is over the same strip of property that remains for the duration of the day. And as you're aware, the elements of monitoring. The mayor that lives in the city of Ontario is gang stalking, while the entire universe is centered where I'm at. Everybody in the city of Ontario is gang stalking. That includes the demon and the sex offender that's engaged in psychological torture, Paul Leon. Okay, the entity is gang stalking with all of these elderly citizens who are not sleeping. The entity is gang stalking by the city of Ontario in helicopter. Okay, that's again the sex offender that likes to jerk on his genitalia while he's monitoring mine in the bathroom. This is the same impossible light activity you see during the day under the fake sun. And also note the timing that the demons who are already stalking in helicopter begin sounding helicopter as I walk outside of the apartment, because they were monitoring with that demon who's going to a mental asylum in unit number 55, license 5WUB 715, where the fake moon is and where the fake sun is right over me, where the demons, the sex offenders that are obsessed with monitoring me, engaged in psychological torture. Mike Lorenz is a candidate for federal prison. Better yet, a mental asylum, because stalking American citizens in helicopters is the outward demonstration of a high level of mental instability and malice. Those are psychopaths that want to murder and kidnap someone, and they want to call it a day's work being a police officer. The entity is doing so in the specific environment. This is my shadow that's extending this way on the ground. And that's my shadow that's upright. This is the same light activity during the day. And the entity that's acting with impunity, gang stalking by helicopter, as you documented, this is exactly why the federal government is going to prosecute the Ontario police and disband them. And that's also why federal prison and mental asylum, and also this one, and Tracy Banks is inside gang stalking her own daughter. She's going to a mental asylum. All right, I have multiple shadows, as you can see. None of this is the product of what are natural light activity, and it's under the fake moon. Where you see the fake sun rising, where you see the fake sun setting, is where the demons are gang stalking by helicopter. And this is the desire, the outward communication of a state government that is wanting to go to federal prison and mental asylums, the outright obvious engagement in domestic terrorism in the state of California, which is exactly why the Ontario Police Department that's committed to criminal conduct, not law enforcement, all right, they are going to be disbanded. You're looking at the entire illegitimacy, what is shameful conduct, criminal activity, literally bringing shame to what is the police force that the United States would like to be associated with. I'm showing you what is the corruption of the executive branch. It is domestic terrorism in the United States. By the way, they were already stalking in helicopter. All you did was witness the moment where the demons that were already stalking, through the means that I've documented, the demon that's pacing in apartment 55, amplification, the demons that are monitoring as I walk outside, Union Pacific train heard inside of the apartment, they were already stalking in relevant position above. That's why she's going to an asylum. She's maintaining ongoing criminal conduct. These are demons that are gang stalking together. Remember, gang stalking, the purpose of it is because the police, who are actually murderers and kidnappers, want to engage in malicious murder and kidnapping while wearing a badge and associating it with law enforcement, necessarily criminally defaming you as though you've committed some crime or that you are mentally unstable. This is the disbanding and the permanent removal from sex offenders like Mike Lorenz. Okay, he's removed from law enforcement. Paul Leon, Alan D. WAPNER, you know these demons' names because they're associated with the means of aerial surveillance over the specific environment. And the demon that is Paul Leon, who knows exactly with regard to the millions and millions of dollars that are expended on criminal activity, surveilling an American citizen, and then doing so more profusely because these demons are working overtime because I'm prosecuting them. You're witnessing their mental illness, however, while they're being prosecuted, and they're showing their obsession with my genitalia and with stalking me, even while the demon's secret is now out. The fact that they are indeed gang stalking. The fact that they just flew over an American citizen who was documenting it, you'll recognize that, and it's going to be prosecuted as the impermissible threat. All right. It is currently, again, 12:46 a.m. on what is December 19, 2024. That criminal conduct is putting everybody in federal prison. Every single last one. Units 33 through 64. They already know it. They're gang stalking with this demon that's patrolling around me while you see my upright shadow over here. That's called impossible light activity. While the demons are flying over my head in impossible light activity, those demons are monitoring in unheard of and inhumane and psychotic methods such as helicopters, which Paul Leon, the city of Ontario, spends millions of dollars engaging in criminal activity. That's not going to be the mayor. He is publicly being embarrassed, openly being called out for the sexual violence, the criminal conduct, the domestic terrorism that he is engaged in. The entity knows while the fake sun remains over this strip of property from the beginning to the end of the day, the whole city of Ontario knows where the fake sun is because they're targeting me citywide, using the resources such as planes and helicopters to do so, incriminating everybody, all these elderly citizens. This demon does not sleep. She's obsessed with stalking me as I walk around, and while the police fly over, it's incriminating her. She's going to an asylum, and I've captured many, many videos of her and her criminal documentation, her criminal conduct. This is why you're going to a mental asylum, because of the weight of the evidence showing that mental instability on its face. Your mental health becomes a part of the controversy. You're not avoiding a mental asylum. The entity, the rest of them are going to federal prison. And gang stalking in helicopters shall be met with federal prison or a mental asylum. And a gang leader such as Mike Lorenz is not removed from that prosecution as well. It is currently 12:48 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is what the Ontario International Airport is engaging in. This is called amplification. This is never the result of vibrating an apartment. The demons are vibrating the apartment while they're gang stalking. And this is what they're doing while the demon in 55 is patrolling back and forth like a rabid dog in the living room, monitoring me. And while she's doing that, she is maintaining audible activity inside of the apartment while the entity, the city, is gang stalking me together. This is not a private residence. This is a facilitating venue. This is the foolishness and the implosion of federal group stalking and monitoring, while a city, a government, the state, is engaged in the organized crime of what is seeking to maliciously murder and kidnap. There shall not be any sacrifice. However, you're witnessing the exposure of it and the prosecution of it and what are necessary prosecutorial measures in addressing it. Okay, this is again showing what is the criminal that is Mike Lorenz. He knows very well the sex offenders and the stalkers that are hired on the Ontario police. They've been engaging in gang stalking as a matter of video evidence since 2019. While they're gang stalking, engaging in kidnapping, not lawful arrest, upon making what are malicious manufacturing criminal charges while they're gang stalking. That's called the criminal defamation. Engaging in what is criminal defamation in the courts, alleging maliciously mental illness while they're gang stalking with Tracy Banks. Engaging in criminal summoning with the people of the state here at Woodside Senior Apartments while they're gang stalking, theft of my vehicle while they're gang stalking. They're engaging in what is the denial of legal relief in the courts after they stole my vehicle upon gang stalking with the same entity. Pacing around in circles right now is what you see in the engineered light. Gang stalking in plain view for the federal government to see. They will be no more. They're already done. You're witnessing what is the formal removal and exposure of it. The Ontario Police Department is no more. Okay, that's amplified audible activity. While the demons are flying in the distance, these are demons who are pacing. And you're actually witnessing what is very highly demonic conduct. That's a demon flying planes, and demons shall not have licensure in California. That's why they're gang stalking in helicopters with the demons that are a police department right now. Temporary, they're going to be done with that. And also the demons that are gang stalking. Alan D. WAPNER is a demon-possessed gang stalker and knows about the millions that are expended upon criminal surveillance from the Ontario International Airport, which is under no circumstances in a location, hovering over a senior citizen complex. And what you see now would not be heard inside of the apartment, but it's amplified on a systematic basis while demons are deviating from 2500 and 2900 Airport Road, the Terminals 2 and Terminal 4, Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, Alaska Airlines, Frontier, FedEx, Amazon Prime, all of those documented gang stalkers are under no circumstances coming from those terminals and then flying in the direction west, hovering over Woodside Senior Apartments. That's clearly targeting through the environment where you see the fake moon and the fake sun, and also the impossible light activity, speaking to what are the elements of monitoring. This is demonic activity underway by the airport. That's the municipality, and by the police department, that's the municipality. That is criminal conduct that Paul Leon is directly engaged in. He's a sex-offending, demon-possessed gang stalker, and he knows all about what's going on with my genitalia in the bathroom. And the criminal activity of the state directly is the evidence that's removing him and exposing him for what he is, and he encourages and approves criminal conduct by the population in the city of Ontario. This is the criminal conduct that this demon is engaging in on behalf of the state inside of the apartment, and this is criminal conduct. Walking in engineer light, that's why they're all going to federal prison. 4 legs on the ground, 4 legs, that's called criminal monitoring, and the police act via the people with a communication device. That's Title 18 in front of your face, and that's all impunity. They're all going to federal prison. The elderly that have no qualms with gang stalking you, with committing the sex offense on behalf of the state, walking by like nothing, just group stalking your face, that's exactly what's going to be addressed in federal law. And they're also engaged in a 24-hour sex offense, a demon-possessed population that's obsessed with everything that you're doing, walking on the phone under the fake moon, living and walking around on the phone and gang stalking and living at a venue where the fake sun remains all day long. This is a population that's engaged in 24-hour surveillance, and they openly do so very, very foolishly before the world on an ongoing basis. Very demonic what you're witnessing, but it's the demon-possessed gang stalking conduct is demonic, and it's also highly criminal. It's unconstitutional and inhumane. It is currently 12:52 a.m. This is evidence that's putting the demon in 55 in the mental asylum where she belongs. She does not sleep. She's remaining right here. What the Ontario Police, the Ontario International Airport just engaged in does not help her, nor any of them. However, it's supposed to be the bully system where the ordinary target individual is supposed to be intimidated. Psychological torture is that which is supposed to oppress and silence you and place you into fear. The same conduct by the demon-possessed who monitor you right in front of your face. Because that's what that demon just did, and she did so on behalf of the people. They're all going to federal prison. They're maintaining the elements of monitoring. All right, it is currently, again, 12:53 a.m. This is, again, and with regard to the pattern of conduct, this is published to the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and also see my website where I publish all of the video evidence, and you can see the evidence of the specific environment where the fake sun is and the fake moon is the same specific environment, which is a part of the pattern of conduct by the population that is gang stalking and is demon-possessed. This is exactly what the environment was at Alvarado Gardens. The fake moon over my apartment at night, the fake sun remaining over me, the top of my head just like this for the duration of the day, which is exactly what I'm documenting here in Ontario, where the two are mutually exclusive, and at neither one of them is the sun ever going to be stationary for the duration of the day, like I've documented at both venues where LAPD and the Ontario PD are engaged in the same exact pattern of conduct, and they're the same entity. And they are prosecuting, for purposes of evidence, they're prosecuting themselves because the entire city is being prosecuted. The entire city. It is currently 12:53 a.m. This is P.O.C.